Hi, everybody. Thank you for participating in our Ask Me Anything. So for today, our first question that I'll be answering is from one of our adult friends named Sandy. And Sandy wanted to know how hurricanes get their names. So this is a really interesting question, and I hope I can give you a little bit of insight into how this started and why we do this. So just to review, hurricanes are big or strong areas of low pressure. They form in the tropics. Here in the Atlantic Ocean, where most of the East Coast hurricanes form, they form in the Eastern Atlantic. Hurricanes move across the ocean and then either enter the Caribbean Sea and the Gulf of Mexico, or they can recurve and turn north and move up the East Coast, maybe making landfall, say, in the Carolinas or somewhere north of there. But hurricanes occur all over the world in every ocean basin. Sometimes they're called different names, such as a cyclone or a typhoon. And back in the turn of the 20th century, and before that, hurricanes were actually not named. They were just storms. And so, for example, the big Galveston hurricane, which devastated the island of Galveston, Texas in 1900, is just called the Galveston hurricane or the Great Galveston Hurricane. So there wasn't a specific naming convention that existed. So that actually started in the 1950s. National Hurricane Center began naming storms as a means of remembering them for reference when there was maybe more than one hurricane going on in a particular ocean basin, or to go back and do research on a certain storm after the fact. And so that started in the 1950s. The names were given in order of the alphabet, so alphabetically beginning with A for the first storm, B for the next one, etc. Initially, all of the names were female names, and that persisted for a long time, actually, almost 30 years or more. And in the 1970s, in the late 1970s, it was decided to switch and stop naming them all female names and alternate male, female, male, female, which is what's done today. So today, hurricanes are names are set by the World Meteorological Organization. That entity manages the names of storms all around the world in every ocean basin. And I'm going to just share my screen with you here for 1 second so that you can see the storms that are going to be, what the storms are going to be named for this year. So if we look at the list, you can see that on the National Hurricane Center website, there's a list of names for storms, which goes all the way out to 2024. Here we go in 2020. Our first named storm is going to be Arthur, followed by Bertha, and you can read down the list to see what all the rest of the names will be. If it's a particularly active hurricane season, then we get past W, for example, they would start with Greek letters and move on from there. And that happens sometimes, not always, but I can remember some seasons where that has happened. So now, let's see here. I wanted to talk just a little bit about tropical storm names themselves. So a storm gets a name when the winds first exceed 39 miles per hour. So it's known as tropical storm, whatever the name is. It's going to keep its name for its entire life cycle. So if the winds strengthen in the storm and they exceed at some point 74 miles an hour, then the storm will be known as hurricane, whatever the name was originally. An interesting fact that you might not know is that just like baseball players' numbers, hurricane names are retired. If it's a particularly high impact event like Hurricane Katrina, for example, after the fact, that name will be retired and it goes out of the rotation and is no longer used again. So in the future, whenever anybody is talking about Hurricane Katrina or any other retired hurricane name, it's clear that it's that particular storm that's being discussed. So I hope you found that interesting, and I hope you learned a little bit about how hurricanes get their names. If you want more information, you can absolutely go to the National Hurricane Center website. There's so much information, not just about names of hurricanes, but about hurricanes themselves as well. So thanks for asking.